I am the opposite of progress. I'm the wall that it bashes against, and I will not be the one who breaks.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Intuitive Angling. Really appreciate you guys taking some time to watch the video. As you can see from that little fun clip starting the video out, that is me. Kevin Costner is me when it comes to technology and bass fishing and a lot of other things in life. And that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, is this whole topic of what people consider as progress. And I'm going to sort of redefine it for you guys and maybe sort of give you guys a different way to look at it. You guys that have followed this channel, you guys know my position on live scope and technology. I've been extremely vocal about it. You know, I've been pointed at and made fun. People calling me a dinosaur, hang it up, you're old, get up with the times or quit. I've heard it all. And a lot of that comes through misunderstanding of the point of what I'm talking about here. So I sort of wanted to take some time to go into detail what I mean by this, about how progress is not a good thing all the time, and progress is a terrible thing a lot of times. And you know, people always say there's a saying that you can't stop progress. Yeah, you can stop progress. You just have to you have to be aware of the fact that what a lot of people consider progress is not progress. It's actually a step backwards. And that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today here. You know, one of the things about bass fishing that, you know, has always attracted it to me was the purity of the sport when I got into it. You know, wading creeks, you know, fishing farm ponds, that type of stuff. The best times that I've ever had bass fishing in my entire life. And guys, I have been extremely fortunate. I fished all over the world. I fished 3 different foreign countries, fished full-time all across the country for 35 years. I've been fortunate to fish a lot of bodies of water, more than most people ever will in their lifetime ever. And the best memories that I ever have, the most powerful memories of bass fishing, is wading creeks and understanding how bass position behind eddies and current breaks, sneaking in farm ponds, throwing a spinnerbait parallel to the bank next to a lay down log or something like that, wading up to my knees. It wasn't being out in a $90,000, $100,000 bass boat with $20,000 electronics on it. So from that standpoint, it got me thinking about this, what I want to talk about a little bit. So anyway, when we're talking about progress and technology, people always have this opinion that it's a good thing and you can't stop it. Guys, I'm here to tell you right now, what society and what most people consider progress is actually something that's harming our planet and the human species tremendously. And what I mean by that is that, I'll start out at a couple different levels here, is we live on a planet that it's finite. We have a finite amount of natural resources on this planet that simply can only go so far. And when you have a finite amount of resources and you have, for example, a population on this planet that has went from 1 billion people little over 100 years ago to almost 8 billion people in a little over 100 years, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that we're on an unsustainable path. Eventually, you know, unless something changes, you know, the human species is going to overpopulate itself into extinction. That's just a reality. That's a scientific reality. We cannot continue at this current rate. Uh-oh. What are you doing there in the middle of the video?
I need a bath because my butt itches.
Okay, I'll be right. Sorry about that, guys. Got Elijah taken care of there. But back to the train of thought here. What I was talking about is I'm not passing judgment on anybody one way or the other. I'm just saying that that's the reality of the situation, is that we're on a trajectory right now on this planet to, it's unsustainable. You know, simply we cannot sustain that type of population growth with the finite amount of resources we have on this planet. It leads to a host of catastrophic situations. So anyway, when you're talking about progress, about stopping progress or just at least slowing it down, this is what I'm talking about. Everybody talks about, you know, progress is inevitable and it's a good thing, and if we're not growing, you're dying. I don't believe that at all. The Native American Indians have been on this continent of ours, or in North America, before the white man ran them out of their homeland. they've been here for, 25, 30, I don't know, maybe 50,000 years. I mean, just forever. And throughout the course of their history, they went through generations, thousands of years, generations upon generations of tribes that basically left the landscape the same as it was when they found it. There was no change. They lived in harmony with their environment, in balance. And it's only been the past 200 years, 300 years, that we have totally morphed this, country that we live into something that's basically unrecognizable how it was here 300 or 400 years ago. That, you got a race of people that lived in balance with their environment and in harmony with their environment for tens of thousands of years, and look at the damage and the destruction we've done, just over the past couple hundred years, and then multiply that another couple hundred years from the road from now, what it's going to be like. I bring it up all the time, guys. I'm talking about you got a 10-acre tract of woods getting bulldozed here for a strip mall. You got a 20-acre tract here bulldozed for housing development. You got a 5-acre tract bulldozed down here for a gas station. It never stops. It absolutely never stops. And a lot of these people, the developers and all this type of stuff, these people that mindlessly do this type of stuff, they do not look down the road as far as the sustainability issue. They see this as progress, and it's not. I got into a huge argument with this dude that wanted to buy my parents' property and put a housing development after my dad passed away, last fall. And I freaking reamed this guy up one side and out the other about what he had already done to the nearby area as far as his housing development and how it destroyed wildlife habitat. And he goes, well, it's great what I've done here. Look at all this progress. And I said, you didn't do anything. There was no progress here. All you did was destruction of the natural world. That is the point that I'm coming from. I know that you're not going to stop progress, but we as a society, guys, we have got to slow it down. I don't care if it's in this live scope and all this forward-facing sonar crap that's out there, taken away from that experience of wading the farm ponds or in a creek. This stuff has got to slow down. And let's just look at the technology in social media, for example. Yeah, I'm sitting here doing a YouTube video, but I remember back when I was growing up in the early 70s with my mom and dad in Joplin, Missouri. Everybody back then, what they did is, like, on a Friday night, everybody would have friends over. My parents would either be at their friend's house with us, with our kids, or they'd have a group of people over to our house with their kids. And it was a social event. Everybody was social. Everybody interacted with people. You don't have that anymore. The days of the home visits from families, every weekend, the human interaction we used to have for so many different hundreds of years is gone. Social media is taken away from that. People get on Facebook and Instagram now to communicate, and they never see each other in person. People send texts instead of talking. Is that something that you consider progress? Some people would, some people wouldn't. I agree, progress, like in the medical community and the medical profession, is a good thing, but not so much in other areas. And the whole thing about this is, what can you do about it? I think the first thing that you have to do when you're talking about slowing down progress or making people realize that progress is not a good thing all the time is you have to educate people on what the inevitable alternative is if you keep on the same trajectory. One of the most profound statements I've ever heard was this dude that ran the survival schools that I went to for years. He just basically said that the American dream is killing this planet, and that we have become a society that are killing our grandchildren to feed our children. And this is coming from somebody that is like this old, ancient Apache Indian dude that is so relevant to today's time. Most people just don't see that. When I get into an argument with some real estate developer that's ripping the hilltops off of Table Rock Lake to put in, a $2 million weekend home and destroying the very aesthetics that drew people to the Ozarks to begin with, you're dealing with people that don't get it. They don't understand what their actions are doing. What they see as progress is actually destruction in the long term. And that's one of the problems we have as a society in general, is that we think on short term. We think on a short term basis. We don't have the ability, or we haven't been taught the ability, to look to see what our actions right now are doing to future generations. It doesn't take much to look ahead and figure that out. I mean, every one of you dudes out there that hunt and fish, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the habitat destruction. You've seen the housing developments go up. You've seen the gas stations being built. You've seen your hunting lands, being bulldozed down. Happens all over the country. And if you take this is something that never stops. It's continuous, and it's not just in your area or my area. It's all over the planet like that. And if you multiply this 100 years from now, just think in your mind what type of world that we're going to have. And the world that we have is going to be built. It's not anything beyond man's ignorance and stupidity and greed. It has nothing to do with anything beyond that. It doesn't have anything to do with any predestined fate or anything like that. It's our greed, it's our ignorance, it's our stupidity of not being able to look into the future and see what our actions are doing. In my opinion, progress is a big part of that. And back to bass fishing here, one of the things I'll put in with that is I'll go back to the technology part of it. Like I said, I've had a chance to do it all. I've done everything from wade creeks to fish out of $100,000 boats, fishing for $1 million in tournaments. I've done it all. And guys, the experience that I get out of fishing, the gratification, the therapeutic healing, just the joy, the everything that comes with fishing has never came from technology. It's never came from the electronics on my boat. It's never came from driving the boat 70 miles an hour down the lake. It's getting in that farm pond and feeling that mud squishing between my tennis shoes, and feeling that 4-pound bass, hit that spinner bait on a muddy laydown, or it's like I said, it's twitching that little rapalamenta behind a little eddy and seeing a 2-pound spotted bass came up out of the current and get it. It's the natural, it's the nature connection with that. It doesn't have anything. Progress in that capacity has done nothing for the sport. So I think you guys get what I'm talking about here. I just wanted to throw this out there because I see it in my face every day. I become more and more aware of it that's going on every day. And like I said, if I can do anything on this channel, I'm glad that I can help you guys, catch some more fish, or help you guys with some baits and help you guys understand bass behavior. But if there's anything that I can bring to you guys in this channel, I just want to be a signpost pointing the way that we have got to start, reeling it back and taking care of this planet we live on. We are destroying this thing, man. We are destroying it through climate change, through overpopulation, through pollution, through war, through everything like that. And it's nobody's problem except our own, like I said, from our stupidity and greed. So I think the more that we educate people to understand that progress is not a good thing all the time. It can be, like I said, in certain situations when you're talking about charity or medical stuff like that. But most of the time, technology, growth, development, all that type of stuff, it's like a cancer that's eating away at our sustainability as a species on this planet. And I do not want my grandchildren, I don't want my son and my grandchildren, if I have any like that, to look back and just be pissed at what we have done to the planet, pissed at the planet that we handed off to them, that we should be taking care of. We should be leaving this planet better than it was before we left. And we don't make it better by putting up more gas stations and more strip malls. We make it better by making sure this environment is sustainable and healthy and vibrant. And you don't do that by progress and greed and focusing on money and power. You do that by having that mentality of an old man, that as an old man, you plant a tree that you know that you're never going to experience the shade of. And if you do that, you're always considered, and you're taking care of the next generation, that's lacking a lot right now in our society. So anyway, guys, just a little rant there. Wanted to throw that out there. Appreciate you guys that have stayed through the whole video here. And this won't be the last you hear, but you're going to hear me talk about this from time to time when I get riled up a little bit about it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate you guys watching the channel, and we'll see y'all later.